So, hello there, and welcome back to another Night of the Movies podcast. I'm Spy Knight, and in these podcasts, I love talking on things, movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing One Battle After Another. So, let's get into it, shall we? One Battle After Another is a new film written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson, who previously wrote and directed such movies as Boogie Nights, which is one of my favourite films, Magnolia, which is also one of my favourite films and is probably my favourite Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and he also directed Punch Drunk Love, which I absolutely love, There Will Be Blood, which is an amazing film that I only watched for the first time a good couple of weeks ago now, and I was kind of blown away by that film. And he directed The Master, which I like a lot, Inherent Vice, which I haven't seen, and I know a lot of people don't particularly like, but again, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment on it. He directed Phantom Thread, which I have seen, and I do think is a beautifully crafted film, but wasn't really my sort of film at the same time. And most recently, before directing this film, he directed Licorice Pizza, which I'm pretty sure came out in 2021, and I liked Licorice Pizza quite a lot. I don't love it the same way I did when I first watched it and reviewed it on this channel, but I do think it is a very good film. And this, One Battle After Another, is his latest movie. And you'd think that because I am such a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson, I mean, yes, I loved all of his movies, and Phantom Thread wasn't really for me, but again, I could still appreciate the craft, and I mean the amount of craft that went into that film. Even so, I haven't loved all of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, I'm still such a big fan of his. So you'd think I would be very, very excited about watching this film. You'd think this would be one of my most anticipated movies of 2025. But it wasn't, and I'll get on to why shortly in this review. But anyway, before I get into that, this film has a stellar cast with the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio, apparently I can't even pronounce his flipping name, Leonardo DiCaprio as in the lead role of this film, alongside Chase Infinity, Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro. I still find it funny that, I think Benicio del Toro's first role was as one of the henchmen in a Bond movie. I think it was License to Kill. And he's come all this way now. Benicio del Toro's been in many amazing films, but sometimes when I see him in a movie, I'm just like, oh yeah, I think your first film was in a Timothy Dalton Bond movie, and I just find it funny that now he's in all these amazing performances. Now he's giving all amazing performances in his own way. But yes, Benicio del Toro is in this movie, and so is Sean Penn. Sean Penn is the villain in this film. Like I just said, Leonardo DiCaprio plays the lead role in this movie. Leonardo DiCaprio, I heard this online, I'm not sure if it's totally true, but I think it is. Leonardo DiCaprio almost played the lead role in Boogie Nights, the role that Mark Wahlberg ended up playing in Dirk Diggler, which is quite an iconic role. And although I think Mark Wahlberg is fantastic in Boogie Nights, it's probably his best performance to date, it's kind of interesting to think what would Leonardo DiCaprio have made that performance, particularly where he was in his career at that point. Like, I'm pretty sure he just come off Titanic and Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version. So it's kind of interesting to think what would have he brought to Boogie Nights. But still, all these years later, Leonardo DiCaprio and Paul Thomas Anderson finally get to work together. However, I'm going to retract that word finally there, because it sounds like a good couple of years ago they got to work together on Killers of the Flower Moon. About a year ago now, reports came out that Paul Thomas Anderson ended up helping with some of the writing and some of the directing on Martin Scorsese's latest film, Killers of the Flower Moon, which Leonardo DiCaprio had one of the lead roles in. So it sounds like they got to work together properly in that movie, and actually this is the second time that those two have worked together. So yes, Leonardo DiCaprio stars in the lead role with Paul Thomas Anderson directing, and this film has a stacked, and I mean stacked, cast. So why wasn't I more excited, and why wasn't I more excited about watching this film? And the simple answer is, well, because the trailers didn't really work for me. The trailers didn't grab me, and they look like the sort of Paul Thomas Anderson that doesn't really work for me. So I didn't have very high hopes about what this film was going to be like. I wasn't expecting loads. But the film came out a good few days ago now, and since it came out, it has been receiving rave reviews, and I mean rave reviews. People are talking about how this is one of the best films of the past 30 years. I even saw one reviewer called this their new favourite film, the best one they'd ever seen. I was like, blimey, that's praise and a half, isn't it? You know, some people are saying this is Paul Thomas Anderson's best film. You're talking about the same guy who made There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, Magnolia. I just hit my hand there on the table. You know, this is one of the best filmmakers working today, and you're saying that one battle after another is his best movie. Okay, now that's big praise. And with all that praise, my expectations for this film were raised quite a bit. And at the same time, so were my worries. So many times when people are praising movies, particularly over the past couple of years, I really get excited about watching them. My expectations get particularly high, and then they're often let down because people have been hyping up the film so much. And I was really hoping that when I went to go and watch the film yesterday at the cinema, I wasn't going to come out of the film disappointed. I wasn't going to be that lonely person on the island going, you know what, I think one battle after another is overhyped. I was really hoping that wasn't going to be me, because I've heard a couple of people say that online already. They said the film was overhyped, and I was like, oh god, please, you know, because I watched the film a couple of days later than I wanted to. I wanted to watch it last Friday, but life got in the way, so I ended up watching it yesterday on Monday, and I was worried that the film was just... I built this film up too much in my head. I was scared that I was going to come out the cinema thinking, you know what, that was so disappointing, and I'm going to have to go on YouTube now and say how disappointed I was in it. I'm going to have people screaming at me in the comment section like they did in my view of Anora last year. And, you know, Anora, which won Best Picture last year, I didn't like that movie, and people were really going at me in the comment section in my review of that film. Still, it's my most viewed review on this channel, so there's that. But anyway, I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case when it came to this film. So yes, I went in with an open mind yesterday. I went in with my expectations high. I was hoping for a great movie. I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised, because again the trailer didn't really work for me too much, and I was hoping that this was going to be another Paul Thomas Anderson classic. So yes, those were my feelings going into the film yesterday, and the Google plot synopsis for this film goes as follows. Bob, played by Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie, is a washed-up revolutionary who lives in a state of stoned paranoia. How about that? Surviving off-grid with his spirited and self-reliant daughter, Willa, played by Chase Infinity in this film. I think this is her first big role, by the way. You know, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Anyway, when Bob's evil nemesis resurfaces and Willow goes missing, the former radical scrambles to find her as both father and daughter battle the consequences of their pasts. And that's pretty much all you need to know about this film before seeing it. And honestly, I thought this film was absolutely brilliant. This is an exquisitely crafted film with believable and mesmerising performances that bring the truly excellent writing of this film to life. And this film's got a burning originality about it that shines throughout this film. I was kind of amazed by this movie. I couldn't quite believe what I was experiencing. And I'm not saying all the film works. And I'm not saying this is Paul Thomas Anderson's best film. I don't think it's as good as Magnolia or Boogie Nights for me. And I'd probably say it's on the same level as Licorice Pizza and The Master for me. But I like those ones quite a lot, so I'm not taking that away from those movies. And actually, I'd probably say it's a bit better than both of those films, because I don't just like this one quite a lot. I like it a hell of a lot. But at the same time, it's a film which keeps you on your feet. It is a film that has writing which is so riveting, you know, with a film that that makes the film so riveting. It's got writing that makes this film so riveting, and it's a film which keeps you engaged. You know, this is almost a 3-hour movie. It's about 2 hours and 50 minutes. That's what it's on Google just when I was having a look. Yeah, it's about 2 hours and 50 minutes, which makes it almost 3 hours, and the film just flies by. I mean, yes, it feels lengthy, but it doesn't feel nearly 3 hours. It feels about 2 hours, if that. It flies by, and every single time the film was starting to disengage me, it would grab me back in, and I would immediately be back engaged in the movie. Something would happen. I'm like, okay, I'm back and locked in to what's going on in this scene, in the sequence with these storylines. I'm totally locked into all of this, and the film kept doing that throughout. Every time my interest started to slip a little bit, something would happen, my interest would be back there all over again. And I do think this is one of the most unique and one of the most original films that I've seen in quite a bit of time. And I loved its originality. I've not seen a film like this, well, perhaps ever, and I will probably never see a film like this again. And on top of being all these amazing things, on top of this film being truly a one-of-a-kind film, it also has an amazing, and I'm going to keep going back to that word amazing in this review today, it has an amazing musical score by Jonny Greenwood. Jonny Greenwood did an absolutely triumphant job doing the musical score to this film. I mean, the musical score perfectly captures the feel, the atmosphere, and the energy of this film. I haven't heard a musical score like this in such a long time. And if you watch this channel quite a bit, if you don't, by the way, you really should, and you should subscribe to the channel right now. But yeah, if you watch this channel, a little bit of self-plug in there, if you watch this channel quite a bit, you'll know that I talk about musical scores almost all the time, or I try to anyway. And so there's been many musical scores for new films I've seen in the past couple of years, which I've liked a hell of a lot. But this might be the best musical score I've heard for a film in probably the past 5 years. The score to this film is, I mean, I can't quite wrap my head around how Jonny Greenwood made the score for this film work the way he did. You've got all these instruments in the score that are coming together in a way that again, as somebody who's played music, I mean, not particularly well, but as somebody who's played music in the past, and as somebody who listens to musical scores daily, and that's no exaggeration, I'm listening to the musical score for this film, like, how did he bring this all together? And how is he capturing the essence and everything about this film perfectly in the score alone? I mean, he captures the emotional moments in this film perfectly in the score. It captures the anxious, the anxiety-inducing moments in this film perfectly. It heightens tension in a way that you almost don't see coming, in a way that is so, yeah, you don't see coming, and it's just kind of thrown at you in the musical score, but in a way that was also built up. It's hard to explain what really makes a score work, but Jonny Greenwood did an absolutely amazing, and I mean amazing, job with the musical score to this film. And like I said, he's combining all these different instruments together that you don't usually hear together in a musical score, and in a piece of music at that in general in the score to this film, and it shouldn't work. It really shouldn't work. The score should have been annoying, it should have been clunky and a complete and utter mess. But actually, as what he said, I think it's one of the best musical scores, if not the best musical score that I've heard over the past 5 years. The musical score, I mean, wow. I haven't felt that way. I haven't felt this way about a musical score in quite a bit of time. And on the topic of things coming together that shouldn't really work, there's so many elements to this film. There's so many themes and ideas and plot elements to this movie that are coming together in this film that really shouldn't work. This film shouldn't work, but it works so masterfully. I mean, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece. I think that word is thrown around willy-nilly nowadays. I truly think that. I think some people watch a movie and go, that's a masterpiece, when actually when you sit down and think about it, it maybe isn't a masterpiece. And I'm not saying this film isn't a masterpiece at the same time, but I'm also not going to say it's a masterpiece yet. I need to see it again. But it is a masterfully made film with directing that really shows the best of Paul Thomas Anderson. This is a film with Paul Thomas Anderson all over it. This is a film which clearly has his authorship all over. And I love when you can clearly tell a film is made by an auteur filmmaker. This film has its own style, and that's the thing. If you're a fan of Paul Thomas Anderson, you're going to see his style all over the film. The way he directs sequences, the way he lets shots linger a little too long to make you really feel uncomfortable, the way he heightens tension, the way he throws certain moments in that you really don't see coming, and then they become incredibly important. You think they're going to be unnecessary, but they become, again, incredibly important. This is a Paul Thomas Anderson film inside and out. And I mean that in all the best ways. And it is such a beautifully crafted film with shots that look like something out of a gallery. This is one of the best shot movies I've seen, one of the best looking movies I've seen in, again, like 5 years. I love the way this film looked. I mean, I was watching this and I'm thinking, wow, it looks like a movie, you know what I mean? I mean, there have been so many blockbusters over the past couple of years, which I've loved to pieces, but so many blockbusters as well, where you can clearly tell that a green screen or a blue screen was used to bring a scene to life. And in this film, I mean, at least it looked like it. They looked like shot on location. It looked like they were shooting on sets with productions that were, production design that put a lot of time and thought into it. And with just this, it looked like a movie, you know what I mean? And I don't think a film has properly, and I mean properly, looked like a movie in what feels like forever. I just loved watching this film, the way it looked, the way it felt. It felt like a movie, you know? It felt like a movie in a way that quite a few movies haven't for me. And not every movie, but quite a few movies haven't for me for what feels like quite a bit of time. Yeah, I just love the way it looked. I love the way it was crafted. I mean, the editing, the sound design, the way everything comes together in the writing. It's such an amazingly written film. Again, going back to the word amazing, it is such an amazingly written film with moments of comedy sprinkled in there, which work. I can't tell you how many times I've watched comedies in the cinema or a moment or comedic moment in quite a serious film, and I'm just there not laughing, but I was laughing quite a few times in the film when I think the film wanted me to. And the film also has emotional moments which work as well. And on the topic of emotional moments in this film, the film did hit me emotionally. I'm not saying it didn't. It did. Okay? But it didn't. This would probably be my biggest criticism, and it's not a huge criticism at that, because again, the film did hit me emotionally. It's one of the repeat that, in case people start coming at me in the comment section saying, "How did this film not hit you emotionally?" No, it did. But it didn't hit me quite as much emotionally as I was hoping it would. And I do think what could have been improved in this movie is maybe if you spent more time setting up the character relationships in the first act of the film. Like, the film does a good job of setting up character relationships, but if we just spent a little bit more time, and I only mean a little bit, I truly mean a little bit, if you'd spent a little bit more time setting up character relationships, it could have been more effective when you get to the final act of this film without going into spoilers. Like, if you really got into setting up how Leonardo DiCaprio's character truly cares for his daughter, how he helped raise her all by himself, how he cares for her, how he's always been there for her, and yes, how he's overprotective, but how he is doing this from a place of, from a good place. I just think if you focused on that a bit more, not loads more, but just a little bit more, the final act of this film could have been so much more emotionally effective. And again, I'm not saying it wasn't emotionally effective, but the film didn't hit me emotionally, say, as much as all other Paul Thomas Anderson movies, like Magnolia or like Boogie Nights, which some of my favourite films of all time, by the way. So that is a high bar to, get to, but still. Yeah, I do think this film could have been a little more emotionally effective, but it is emotionally effective at that. It's emotionally involving, and it's riveting, and I can tell you that this shows you that it was emotionally involving. When you're getting to certain parts of the movie, I'm not going to give away what parts, but there's a car chase in particular in this film, where I was gripping the edges of my seats, quite literally gripping the edges of my seat because of how emotionally involved I was in what was going on. And I was watching this film, I was like, I can't quite believe this exists. This is so unique and so original in a way that is working in the film's favour and shouldn't really work, but does masterfully. And the performances in this film are all stand out. Every last performance in the film is utterly believable. And again, you have big acts in this movie. And I've spoken about this before. Sometimes when watching a big actor in a film, I can't get past the fact that I'm watching an actor play a character. And that has happened with Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie before, particularly in his latest film, Killers of the Flower Moon. But it didn't happen with him in this film. I totally bought into his role. I never felt like I was watching Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was really amazed by that. Again, going back to the word amazing, or a variation of the word, you know? And I thought that Benicio del Toro was a joy to watch in this film. But I do think the two standout performances in this film, without a shadow of a doubt, are Chase Infinity and Sean Penn. Chase Infinity is a star in the making. I cannot wait to see what she does next. Wow. I mean, what a debut performance. I'm not sure it is a debut performance. I say that not knowing, but I don't think I've seen her in anything else. And she's holding her own in scenes alongside Leonardo DiCaprio and Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro at that. And yet, she's doing so in a way which is actually making these other veteran actors from Hollywood giving them the gift, which is giving them a run for their money. I mean, she's in scenes alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. I can't flipping pronounce his name in today's podcast. Leonardo DiCaprio, got there in the end. And she is out-acting him, in my opinion. And again, I love DiCaprio in this film. I think this is his best performance for a while. Yeah, for a good long while. But, yeah, she is quite something in this movie. I cannot wait what she does next. She's mesmerising and you're glued to the screen every time she is on screen. And Sean Penn, I'm not the biggest fan of Sean Penn, I'll be honest. But one thing you cannot say about him is that he's a bad actor. I mean, just watch Mystic River. He won an Oscar for his performance in that film. Not that the Oscars really matter, but he won an Oscar for his performance in that movie, and you can tell why. And he'll probably win an Oscar for his performance in this film as well. I mean, again, the Oscar nomination's out for a while. I don't think till next January, if I'm not mistaken. But Sean Penn gives one mesmerising, and I mean mesmerising with a capital M, performance in this film. I didn't realise he had this range about him. I mean, I haven't seen Sean Penn in loads of movies. Whenever I do watch him in a film, I'm often reminded by how good of an actor he really is. I'm just not a big fan of him personally, but again, his performance in this film is astounding. Like, I was watching him and I hated his character, but I was about to say enjoyed watching his character at the same time. No, I didn't enjoy watching his character, but I was constantly drawn to the character. You know, he's a character that you love to hate, and I love when an actor really leans into a character like that, or when the writing leans into a character like that. And both is happening in the film. The writing and Sean Penn's performance are coming together in a way which really makes you dislike Sean Penn's character, but also constantly makes you drawn to him throughout. And yes, I thought Sean Penn was tremendous in this film. I do think he will get an Oscar nomination and will probably win the Oscar next year's Academy Awards. That being said, the Academy Awards don't really matter, at least in my opinion. But yeah, all the performances in this film are absolutely... well, they all absolutely floored me. And I love so many of the themes in this film, some of the themes in the story and in the narrative of this movie. You know, this film, like like pretty much every Paul Thomas Anderson film at least in my opinion, is about finding purpose in the pointlessness of life. And I know that sounds depressing, but if you watch any of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, that's what they're kind of about, in my opinion. That's what I take away from them. You know, they're all about, in my opinion, finding purpose in the pointlessness of life. And this film is no different. And I love how characters find their purpose in this film. How you see character arcs grow throughout the movie. Every character is layered. There's so much to each character that makes you constantly engaged in their storylines. And this is a film which keeps you on your feet and in all the ways you want it to. Like I said before, it's got a burning originality about it that shines through whilst you're watching the film. And again, not all of it works. I had my nitpicks here and there, and the film didn't quite hit me as much emotionally as I perhaps wanted it to. But I can get past all of that because watching this film at the cinema was an experience, and I mean that in the best way. I often speak about how when you go to watch a film at the cinema, when you go to watch a film that you love at the cinema, it feels like an experience, you know? And this film felt like a Paul Thomas Anderson experience, with a film that is so amazingly put together, with performances that that are believable but bring the film to life at the same time, and with so many unforgettable sections that will just stick in your mind after you've seen the film. I cannot see people coming out of this movie going and not thinking about it for the next couple of days. I mean, I only saw the film yesterday and I've been thinking loads about the film. I couldn't actually get to sleep last night because I was thinking so much about this movie. And that tells you how much it really worked for me, because when a film works well, it keeps you thinking about it. It keeps you thinking about it a hell of a lot. And this film did exactly that. Yeah. This is another brilliant, and I mean brilliant, film from Paul Thomas Anderson. And I can't believe I doubted him. I genuinely thought this was going to be maybe a not great film from him. But no. This is a fantastic film, in my opinion. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that one battle after another. You know what? I'm feeling generous today. Don't you know why? But I'm feeling generous, so I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. Again, I have my little criticisms, but I really could get past them. I truly could, because it's just, I can't stop thinking about this movie. You know, I felt this way since since probably the last Paul Thomas Anderson film I saw, which is There Will Be Blood. But actually, I've been thinking more about this film than I was thinking about There Will Be Blood the day after I watched it. You know, I'm reviewing this from the day after I saw it, and I'm thinking loads more about it, more than I did There Will Be Blood the day after I saw that, if you follow my thinking. So yeah, I just cannot get this film out of my mind. And another thing, the last thing I'm going to say about why I love this film, and yes, I did love this movie, I can't believe I haven't said that, but another reason I love this film is the cinematic parallels throughout. The way that through the language of film, and that sounds a bit snobby there, but it is the truth, the way through the language of film and the way that Paul Thomas Anderson does this in showing and not telling, in making you feel emotionally impactful in quite a few moments. There's so many cinematic parallels in the film where a shot is set up early on the movie and you think it's going to be some sort of throwaway shot, and then that a shot very similar happens again later on in the movie, and it hits you like a ton of bricks. And again, this film did hit me emotionally. Just not quite as much emotionally as some other Paul Thomas Anderson movies. But when I say other Paul Thomas Anderson films, I'm mainly talking about Magnolia, because that is one of my all-time favourite movies. And yeah, Magnolia, I mean, when you get to the end of that movie, you almost want to, you know, cry a waterfall, you know? And I didn't get that with this film, but what I did get coming out of this movie was a sense of awe and wonder in what I just seen, in that I just seen something special, in that I've just seen something that I'm not going to be able to stop thinking about for probably the next, well, for the foreseeable future, and something that I won't be able to, quite get my head around, but in all the best ways. I can't quite believe this film exists, but I'm glad that it does. And there'll probably never be a film like this again, because it's not done particularly well at the box office, which is a shame. But again, I am very, very happy that it exists. And yeah, I am a big fan of One Battle After Another. I love this movie. for all the reasons I've said in this podcast today. And for reasons that I even can't quite put my finger on yet, you know? There are many reasons why I can't even put my finger on why I love this movie. But again, I'm just so happy that I did. I thought I was going to come out of the cinema going, that was overhyped. But no, it's not. It's not overhyped. It is worth the hype. It lives up to the hype, you know? And I'm so happy that it did. At least for me. And so, all in all, as what he said, and as I'm going to say once more in this podcast today, one battle after another is a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, that's it for today's podcast. If you have seen one battle after another, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more videos and many more podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. As what he said, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. And I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.